Hey, grace and peace, everybody. I just thought I'd read to you a little bit from Psalm 112. Blessed is the man who fears the Lord, who greatly delights in his commands. His offspring will be mighty. The generation of the upright will be blessed. Wealth and riches are in his house, and his righteousness endures forever. I always think it's funny how much emphasis the Old Testament puts on things like wealth and riches. But you realize when you scour the Bible and you look at all the nooks and crannies, that the reason God is excited about blessing his people is so that through him, or through them rather, God can bless others. It's like in Genesis chapter 12 in the call of Abraham, when the Lord says, through you all the people of the world will be blessed. That we're blessed to be a blessing. And I always think that whatever we do with our resources is in some way like co-signing a check with God's will. You know how sometimes when you go to the bank, if you're in a business, for example, or sometimes even in a marriage or a family trust, you need two signatures on every check in order to make it work. Well, God's already signed the check and given you the money, and now you get to decide where that money goes, co-sign the check, and participate in the will of God as God works to heal the world. And that's always, not always, but I mean, since I was a young man and I first heard that illustration, that's always how I've thought about money, is that we're blessed to be a blessing, that the gifts of God flow to us so that they can flow through us, and that when we participate in God's generous activity in the world, we become not only more like God, but we become closer to God. That generosity is a pathway to intimacy with God. And that's true whether you're helping out the neighbor who is in need next door. That's true whether you're working at the soup kitchen. That's true whether or not you overtip a waiter. That's true whether or not you give money to missions or the chapter house or to your local church. I mean, that's just true. When we participate in generous acts of love and service to the people around us and the people that God has brought into our lives, we're cooperating with God to heal the world. And that's exciting stuff, man. And of course, years and years ago, I thought, well, what am I going to do with the excess money that I have? I mean, I was already, triple and quadruple tithing. I was already supporting missionaries. I was already doing all this other stuff. And that's really where I thought I want to build the chapter house. And for a long time, I worked 3 extra jobs in addition to my job as a local church pastor to gather up money, and then saved up enough money to be able to make a down payment on this historic home in Michigan that when then we'd renovated with friends and family. We raised other money too, but the down payment came from all those other jobs that I was working. And it was an exciting time, and it's still an exciting time. I mean, 6 years later, the chapter house is the great joy of my life and the great engine of fuel and enthusiasm and passion for all the hundreds and thousands of pastors who come through the door. And you're no small part of that, man. I can tell you over this last year that the number one value that anyone can give us at the chapter house is prayer. Is prayer. Is prayer. If somebody says, "Yeah, I can give you $100 or I can pray for you for 10 minutes a day for the next year," I'll take the prayer. Absolutely. I just think prayer changes things. Prayer changes us. Prayer aligns us with the heart and the will of God. Prayer covers us. Prayer fights against the invisible forces of power and control, of darkness and coercion, of deceit, of mistrust. Prayer bolsters our pastors. Prayer invigorates our pastors. Prayer gives me life and energy and vitality so that I can look after the pastor. So thank you for being one of our church prayer partners. This fall, we're actually going to do 40 days of prayer for the chapter house, and we'll publish a little booklet that you can use, and it'll be such a thing that you can use it for 40 days of any prayer. We're going to focus on the chapter house, but it's just going to be a prayer book, and we'll email you a copy of that, and you're free to distribute that however you like, and we'll get hard copies available too, but email is just so much easier for something small like that. So we want you to be excited about that and have it on your radar. And then real quick, here's our prayer requests for this week at the chapter house. Number one, as always, we ask that God would be pleased and honored by the ministry of the chapter house. Not just that God would like what we do, but that we would do the things God likes in the way God prefers. That's what we want. We want God to be pleased and honored by the ministry of the chapter house. Number two, we're praying for ministerial and operational funding. We have this funds matching grant coming in at the end of the year, and we really want to max it out. That means come in the fourth quarter, we'll be banging on everybody's door and asking them to help us meet this goal of raising $200,000 so that it can be matched for $200,000. And then last but not least, number three, we're praying and asking God for a volunteer CFO, a financial growth strategist, someone who can help us make long-range plans plans for sustainability and viability. That'll include things like estate planning and gifts in kind and non-traditional gifts, meaning if people want to give us property so we can start a second chapter house, if people want to leave us in their will or start an endowment or a grant or a scholarship or bursary or whatever. But we need somebody who knows how to do all that because my math skills are sort of limited to this. And we have a bookkeeper already and we have a budget already. We just need somebody to help us with the high level stuff. So again, grace and peace, everybody. Thanks so much for praying with us at the Chapter House. If I can do anything for you or the people God has entrusted to your care, don't hesitate to reach out. Cheers. Cheers.